Have you ever felt trapped by something in your life? Maybe it's a habit or a substance you just can't shake, something that feels like it has a grip on you. You've tried to break free, but it always seems to come back. This might seem like an ordinary struggle with addiction, but what if I told you that it's actually tied to something much deeper, something philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre believed was a core part of human existence, our existential emptiness. Addiction isn't just about craving a substance or a behavior. It's not just about doing something that's bad for you over and over again. Addiction can be a response to something more profound, the void in our lives that we're desperately trying to fill. In this video, we'll explore how Sartre's philosophy on existential freedom gives us insight into why we struggle with addiction and how we can start to overcome it. Let's first understand Sartre's view of human existence. Sartre was a philosopher who believed that we are condemned to be free. At first, this may sound strange, even contradictory, but stay with me, because this is key to understanding addiction. According to Sartre, there is no predetermined meaning to life. We're not born with a purpose assigned to us, nor are we guided by some cosmic force. Life, for Sartre, is inherently meaningless, and it's up to us, as individuals, to create meaning through our actions. This is what Sartre calls existentialism. It's a philosophy that places the responsibility of meaning squarely on our shoulders. We are free to make choices, but we also bear the full responsibility for the consequences of those choices. This freedom is both empowering and terrifying. It means we are free to shape our lives, but at the same time, we are free to create chaos, confusion, or emptiness, and that's where the existential void comes into play. For Sartre, this sense of emptiness is an inevitable part of being human. We have to live with the understanding that life doesn't offer an inherent purpose or guide. This feeling of meaninglessness often manifests as anxiety, frustration, or even depression, and for some, it manifests in addiction. So why does existential emptiness often lead to addiction? The void Sartre describes isn't just some abstract philosophical concept. It's something we all experience in our daily lives. It's that feeling of being lost or disconnected, like there's something missing, but you can't quite put your finger on it. And here's where addiction comes into the picture. We all try to fill that void in different ways. Some turn to relationships, others to work, and many, unfortunately, turn to substances or destructive behaviors. We seek something to give our lives meaning or to take away the pain that comes with realizing the emptiness within us. Addiction, in many ways, is a shortcut to filling that emptiness. It's an attempt to find relief from the anxiety of confronting an existence without predefined meaning, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or even something like social media. Addiction offers a temporary fix, a distraction from the gnawing feeling of not having a clear purpose or direction. But Sartre would argue that this is a form of bad faith. Bad faith occurs when we deceive ourselves into thinking that we're not responsible for our choices or our actions. Instead of facing the freedom and responsibility that comes with being human, we look for external solutions to fill the void. We create false identities and justify our behavior, avoiding the discomfort of confronting the existential reality of life. Let me give you a story that might resonate with many of you. Meet Sarah, a young woman in her 20s. She works a typical office job, and her days are often spent scrolling through social media. It starts innocently enough, checking in with friends, catching up on trends, and scrolling through posts. But over time, it becomes more than just a passing habit. Sarah starts to feel a sense of emptiness when she's not online. She checks her phone constantly, not just for updates, but for validation. Each like, comment, and share gives her a brief moment of relief, a small boost to her self-esteem. But the relief doesn't last. She needs more. The emptiness is always there, lurking beneath the surface, and the only way she knows how to fill it is by seeking more validation online. The problem is, no matter how much she gets, it's never enough. She's stuck in a cycle. Sarah has become addicted to the validation she gets from others, but in truth, it's a temporary escape from the deeper existential emptiness she feels. She's using something external to fill a void that can only be addressed by confronting her own sense of meaninglessness and freedom. So what can we do about this? How do we break the cycle of addiction that's rooted in existential emptiness? Sartre offers us a powerful tool, radical freedom. When Sartre talks about radical freedom, he's referring to the profound idea that we are not bound by anything but our own choices. Unlike animals or objects, we are conscious beings with the ability to reflect on our actions, and in doing so, we have the power to shape our lives in any direction. In Sartre's world, there are no limits except the ones we impose on ourselves. This idea of radical freedom may sound liberating at first, but it can also be frightening. Imagine waking up and realizing that every choice you make, from the smallest to the most significant, is entirely up to you. That means no one else can be blamed for your situation, and no one can be held accountable for your decisions but you. This is what Sartre calls the burden of freedom. It's a heavy responsibility, one that often causes anxiety, because it means we are fully in control of our lives. For someone trapped in addiction, this realization can be both empowering and overwhelming. On the one hand, it means that no matter how deep the addiction runs, you have the power to change it. But on the other hand, it requires you to take full responsibility for that change, to confront the fear, the pain, and the uncertainty that comes with making those choices. But it's important to recognize that this freedom is the key to moving forward. The first step in embracing Sartre's radical freedom is accepting responsibility for your life, including your addiction. Addiction often makes us feel like we're not in control. It can feel like something external is taking over, that we're victims of our circumstances, or that we've been shaped by forces beyond our control. But Sartre challenges us to reject that mindset. He urges us to recognize that even if our past experiences have influenced us, we are still responsible for the way we respond to them. No matter how painful or difficult our situation might be, we always have the power to choose how we act. Accepting responsibility means letting go of excuses. It means no longer blaming the people around us or our environment. Yes, there are factors that shape our choices, but ultimately, the power to change rests in our hands. If we continue to blame others for our addiction, we remain trapped in the role of a victim. But once we embrace responsibility, we take back our power. Radical freedom is key in breaking free from addiction because it empowers us to realize that we are not defined by our past or our habits. We are free to choose our path forward, no matter how difficult it may seem. Sartre's philosophy teaches us that addiction is not a permanent part of who we are. It's a habit, a cycle, a behavior that we can choose to break. Yes, the journey will be tough. Yes, there will be setbacks, but every step you take toward breaking the cycle is a step toward reclaiming your freedom. Every time you resist the urge to give in to addiction, you are choosing the person you want to become. To truly harness Sartre's radical freedom, here are 3 practical steps that can help you begin to take control over your addiction. Acknowledge the existential void. The first step in overcoming addiction is acknowledging the emptiness we all feel from time to time. Rather than seeing this void as something to be afraid of, we need to see it as a space of potential. This emptiness is where our freedom lives. It's the place where we can start creating meaning in our lives, and by confronting it head-on, we are already on the path to self-discovery. This is where we begin to take responsibility for our choices. Accept responsibility for your choices. The next step is to accept full responsibility for our lives and our choices. This means recognizing that no one else is to blame for our situation, not our family, our environment, or even the circumstances we've been dealt. We are responsible for how we respond to life, and that means we have the ability to choose differently. Take action to change. Taking action is the final step. The freedom you have is not just about understanding your situation, it's about actively doing something about it. Start small. Replace one habit with a healthier one. Set boundaries, like limiting your time on social media or avoiding substances. Seek help when needed, whether it's therapy, support groups, or talking to a trusted friend. The most important thing is to start. Change doesn't happen overnight, but every small step you take is a victory. With each action you take, you are reclaiming your power. Now that we've explored Sartre's radical freedom and the role of responsibility in overcoming addiction, let's focus on the next step: self-creation. Self-creation is a concept that Sartre made central to his philosophy. He believed that we are always in the process of becoming. Every decision, every action, is part of creating the person we want to be. Addiction does not define who you are. It's a part of your life, but it's not the essence of who you are. The process of self-creation is about taking the responsibility that Sartre talks about and turning it into positive action. Instead of letting addiction define you, you have the power to create a new identity, one where you are free from the chains of destructive habits. The concept of self-creation is liberating. It means that no matter where you're at right now, you are not stuck. You are not the sum of your mistakes, your past, or your addiction. You are constantly in the process of becoming, and with that freedom, you can begin to create the life you want, starting with the choices you make today. The journey toward freedom and self-liberation is not easy, but Sartre's philosophy empowers us to confront addiction by embracing our radical freedom. The key is understanding that we are not victims of our circumstances. We are not prisoners of our habits. The freedom to change, to choose a new path, and to create a life of meaning is within you.